Hi, I'm Janice Barr. I work in flight operations as a technical development and strategy manager. So I think one of the first things that happened back in 2014, I was part of the team that introduced the iPad into the flight deck, which means we took away all the paper from the flight crew, and that was like a massive transformation for the flight crew. And then the second one, which is more of a personal thing, is I led the flight ops introduction for the A350, so the entry into service to the 350 on behalf of flight ops back in 2019, and that was just amazing because I got to experience so many different parts of the department and parts of the airline that I'd never got to experience before. So it was a really, really great opportunity.
Is it quite tough?
No, well, I kind of knew I was always going to do something practical, so I actually started British Airways as an engineer fixing the aircraft, and I always knew when I was young that I was going to do something practical, a bit more hands-on. And then in 2017 I got an opportunity with my school to spend some time with Queen's University in Belfast and with their aeronautical engineering department, and since then I was like, oh no, I definitely need to work with airplanes, like they're the best thing ever. How am I going to make that happen? Like a lot of people, I think, they work in head office, it's kind of a lot of meetings, but those meetings can be such a variety. Like you can, I guess, spend some time today talking about our new app that we're releasing for the flight and cabin crew, which will really transform how they get access to data in flight, and also like talking about fuel sustainability. My role is, I'm really lucky, is really broad, and so the meetings themselves can be really interesting or a bit dull sometimes, but you have to take the rough with the smooth. But it's really important to recognise that, you know, sometimes life is just about meetings. I think I've been so lucky throughout my career to have really inspirational people everywhere. As an engineer, having some of those really experienced engineers teach me how, like, all the skills I needed to be an engineer, and then coming into an office environment and learning those skills. I wouldn't say I've had a specific person, but I think it's great to have an open mind and think that everyone you meet is going to teach you something new, because you don't know everything, and you'll always learn something new all the time. That is glamorous. You know, everybody sees the cabin crew and the flight crew all dressed in their uniforms and looking very fancy walking through the terminal, but it's not all that, and definitely not if you're an engineer. It's covered in oil and put your hand down dirty toilets. But what else? That it's full of white middle-aged men, and that's definitely true, but they're not all bad, so don't be afraid of them. Don't be afraid of them. And they can, like I said, you can always learn something from them, even if they might not be what you're expecting.